States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I don't believe there are any changes to the agenda tonight, so we need to adopt tonight's agenda.
I'll make a motion we adopt the agenda as presented.
I'll second that.
Been moved and seconded that we adopt tonight's agenda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Are there any guest presentations tonight? None? Okay. So we'll move into our discussion item, which is the supplemental levy. You want to start?
Yeah, I'll just start talking here for a minute. So we last ran a 2-year levy, and that levy will run out in June of 2025. So just kind of looking ahead at options if the board wants to renew that. I listed off the dates there that would be options between now and when that levy runs out. We don't have the budget information we need tonight to decide on anything, but maybe just start the conversation for the next few months as far as timing and so forth. Keep in mind too, there's a bill going through right now, that facilities bill. I think it's maybe House Bill 521, where that would remove the August election. So something just to kind of watch and keep in mind. But that's what we're looking at right now. Right now, our levy is for $750,000. The last time we ran it, we decreased it by 50,000, or no, 60,000. 60,000.
But you increased our facilities by 10.
Yeah, increased facilities by 10. So we're just talking about supplemental levy right now. So, timing wise, we could go as early as May if the board wanted to, this May, for that, which seems soon, but it's an option. August right now is an option, November, and then May again. Yeah. Any thoughts on any of that?
So, I know, where we typically go, what's the, or is that the one we lost?
Usually
was
March.
March.
March. And we might lose August.
Yeah.
So I can kind of get it into my mind about how the money comes in. So we voted last March, and then and that was the first year. And so the first year, we paid our taxes in December, and you were going to get it when?
I get it in the February and March payments.
So have you got it yet?
Yes.
So we got it this one?
Yes.
Okay. And the next, so then when I pay my taxes in June,
Yeah.
when do you get it?
So July, anywhere from July to September, depending on when people pay.
And is that in, which physical year do you put that in?
I have to post it, so you're getting 2 payments a year, but I receive it in the year that we're currently in, the fiscal year that we're currently in. So if I get taxes in July,
Right.
it's technically last year's levy taxes, but I'm posting it to this year's fiscal year.
Okay.
Does
So that's what
that explain?
So,
Okay.
so I mean, if we had different numbers, you'd get a blended amount, right?
Yes, yep, that would be right. So,
And you get what people pay, so if they pay all of it in December, you get all that in February, right?
well, and like, for example,
So it isn't even
in
at all.
January, I'm still getting tax payments from 2021 of people who are behind on their property taxes. So any taxes I receive get posted to this year, because otherwise there's just no way you could go back to 2021 and post
Right.
those taxes to that year.
Okay, so what I was saying that what we levy for and what we get are a little bit different, right?
Yeah, it really is, yeah. It would be nice, I mean, from a budgeting standpoint, if we got all 750 in that year, but yeah, just unfortunately.
Well, that helped me out a little bit. I think we're pretty much stuck to have to do it in November. I guess August would be but I don't think that the counties and everybody who asked to do it is gonna be happy with us if we ask them to do it in August. I mean, they'll say, well, why can't you do it in November? And I don't see that there's really a real pressing issue about doing it in August as opposed to November. Other than it just gives us another chance to pass it, I guess.
It is a long amount of time from November to May. If we don't pass it in November and we have to rerun it, then we're cutting it pretty close to, because the next levy we run will be for the 25-26 year and the 26-27 year. And if we don't run it until May of 2025, that's cutting it pretty close, but if we weren't.
Yeah, I don't think we wanna do that.
No.
Unless we have to.
That already been budgeted, yeah.
Yeah, it would be nice when I did the budget if I knew that those levy dollars were going to be there, but.
And when we did the March one, we had to, when do we have to set it, like January, so that's a
Yeah.
couple months ahead.
Yes.
So we'd have to set, if we were gonna do it in November, we'd have to set it in
I
September.
think by September, or before, a little bit beforehand, we have to put all the resolutions, give the information at the county.
I mean, we'd have a better idea financially what the state, I mean, we'd have it this May too, probably, but.
But we'd probably have, would we have our audit, basically have our audit by then?
Yeah.
By November? Oh, yeah, our audit,
By when we had to certify.
yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, our audit's done in August and then reported at the September board meeting.
Bring it back for November.
I have no problem with November, with the unknown of August. Who knows
I
what
mean,
we're
it
gonna
is,
do.
it's gonna be an election year, so it will be a high turnout.
Traditionally, November, we've had November elections before. They're always our lowest pass rate,
Mm.
like, by quite a bit. Like, it would be nerve-wracking. I mean, I'm not saying it wouldn't pass, but it would be nerve-wracking if we did it in November. But there's pros to have the audit done.
Well, I guess we would know, I'm trying to think now.
We'd probably.
We probably know next month if that bill,
Sure, maybe the August maybe.
yeah, because I think they're trying to sign die at the end of March.
It could change, but it's gonna pass.
Is it?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I was in that committee meeting yesterday, and it was smooth sailing.
Oh, great. Okay.
And I'll bring it up again next month too, see where we are. I'll put it on the agenda to discuss again. Any thoughts on 1 year or 2 year or?
I like 2 year.
I mean, before it was so nerve-wracking to do it every year, that it's a little easier on you guys if
I
you do
like
it every 2 years.
Okay. Over the next couple of months too, we'll have a clearer picture of where our carryover is gonna be, so that'll help too. We can discuss that a little bit more too. And do we know anything about what their
Well, it's the same bill, isn't it, where they're gonna give some money to take care of our bond? Do you have any indication of what's gonna happen there?
Yeah, so, that had two pieces to it. So basically, for those districts that were receiving bond equalization payments, it would replace that. Like, that's one of the sources for the money. So we would continue to get that. The amount that we would be allotted looks like about 1.1 million, and then you have the choice of just taking one lump sum at the beginning of the 10 years or spreading it out. So there's no incentive to spread it out. So districts will just take it and probably put it in LGIP and get a little bit of interest, I guess. But that's the dollar amount. There's also another piece to it related to the plant facility levies that I actually I'm not familiar with. I need to look into that. But even though we have like a plant facility levy and we've got those bond equalization payments, this would still go above that. So we would still, with that bill, receive more funding than what we're currently getting for facilities.
For like 10 years, is that right, this bill?
Yep.
But there's probably restrictions on what we can do with the money, right?
Yeah, you
Pay
have
the
to.
bond off.
Yeah, you have to. Yeah, and you have to put together a 10-year facilities plan, that's fine, that's easy. And then use it, like we would a plant facility levy. There's some other things in that bill too. Like districts that are on a 5-day school week would, if they took the money and participated, they wouldn't be able to go to a 4-day week. What were some of the other things in there? There are some other random things thrown in, but the one that really impacts us is those facility dollars. So we'll probably get some more information over the next few weeks on that as far as what that would really look like. Because I do think there was a piece there with districts that had a plant facility levy, but I don't know the details on that part. Part of the money to pay for this is coming from that fund that they're using to pay districts for those bond payments. That's why that's going away.
All right, is there any other discussion? All right, well, let's move on to the action items. The first action item is the consent agenda, which is the minutes from January, bill payments, personnel action. So I'll let you guys review the bills a little bit.
The apps and sure car alert, is that what Ms. Hadley got?
What was that?
Absent ship letter for
Yeah, yeah.
16,000.
Yep, and that was paid with her grant that she received.
So if you've been a board member for 8 years, you get a lifetime pass for the sports pass by HSAA. So that's what the $100 is for Steve McDowell there.
That's nice.
The teachers we're hiring, do they have experience or?
They do.
To it?
They do.
They do?
Mhm. Our first teacher there has 7 years experience, and then the second one has more.
Oh, wow.
Okay, I was thinking of it down. I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second it. It's been moved and seconded that we accept tonight's consent agenda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. No patron input. Okay, financial reports.
Alright, we'll see on the report, first our Wells Fargo balances. The district general checking and the Impress ref pay account have been closed with Wells Fargo. We have to keep the high school and the elementary accounts open until the end of this school year because My School Bucks, the online platform we use to accept payments, they won't allow us to change banks. So we're also changing My School Bucks hopefully at the end of this year as well. But we have to keep the KHS and JES general checking accounts open until that switch is made. Things with Idaho Central have been going great. There's those balances there as well. And then we got our big February LGIP payment, which was just over $500,000. So that went into our LGIP general account. I attached our ESSER funding spreadsheet. It hasn't changed the last couple of months. We still have that $56,000 sitting out there that needs to be expended by the end of this year. So I believe we're still holding that for the parking lot resurface. And then budget update, I have our budget spreadsheet attached there. And then I also have the budget calendar for this year attached as well. There's certain dates, within 28 days, certain things have to be passed, and so I just created this calendar last year to kind of help keep myself on track. So I went ahead and updated that this week and included that in there for you as well. I'm hoping by the March meeting next month to have a pretty good idea of what our rollover is going to look like going into next year, and that'll really help. That's the first thing I want to really nail down as I start working on the budget for 24-25 is what our rollover amounts are going to be, and then we'll go from there.
Is there any questions for Kendall? All right, if there's no questions for Kendall, we'll move on to the technology director's report.
Okay, so our E-rate deadline for proposals is coming up on the 1st of March, and once I get those in, I'll know better what we'll be able to do coming up this summer. CompuNet, we received the quote to pull fiber from here out to the ag shop, and I'll have that on the agenda for next month as well. The other CompuNet one is an action item that will come on later this tonight. And we had the IETA conference, which is the technology conference, was the 7th to the 9th in February. We had about 800 attendees and vendors, and unfortunately nobody from the district could make it other than me this year. So the theme this year was esports, and I did 2 presentations at the conference, and then I had my son and I do a presentation down at the conference this year. So he was voluntold that he had to do that. And then coming back, I did a kind of a little working group thing with the elementary on AI in the workplace. And then we're gonna be doing that next week, next Wednesday at the high school. So, and then I'm trying to get caught up on everything else, so. Been a busy month.
Any questions for Dan? All right, Julia, the principal's report.
Okay.
This one.
We had a little decline in enrollment. We had forward, as of last month, well, actually January, between January and now. But we just got a call today that said that they want to enroll their students in March, so we have a couple. Actually 3, so it put us back up to 140. And various reasons. Couple just homeschool, couple out of the state, they moved out of the state, and the other is just kind of wanting to live the gypsy life, so that's kind of what we're looking at. That didn't have any suspensions, thank goodness. Our attendance was pretty low, 92%. We had a lot of sickness. I brought my report. I'm sending letters out, but and highlighted in yellow is 6 attendances or more. So I send a letter out that states that you need to be in school.
A lot of letters.
Oh.
Yeah, it's a lot of letters for me. There's quite a few. Wow, that are missing school. And
Is it 9? They can miss before they get it.
what's that?
Before like, because there's
So I sent a letter at 6.
it's 6, but what's the?
And then, yeah, so you can't miss more than 8.
What's 8?
So I send it again at 10, and then they have to call me, and we kind of make a plan. And if they don't call me, then I report them to a tennis court. So it's kind of the next process for that, but. Anyways, our events that happened already. The 31st, we had a STEAM night. We had about 68 students, and then with the students came a parent or 2, and that was a fun-filled night. On the 5th through the 8th, Drew, both Angie's, myself, we went to a symposium in Austin, Texas. That was a Leader in Me symposium. Got a lot of great ideas, and got to visit a school. We're going to put together a presentation. I'll probably share that with you next month. But it was really exciting because you had to get like-minded people, and then it was packed house. So it was great information, and you just get rejuvenated, and so that you can make your program better, that much better. We had also NEAT testing on the 5th. That is measuring the student achievement, and it's also called the nation's report card. So that was something the 4th graders did, and then we were just in a lottery, we were chosen for that. The 9th of February, we went on a field trip, kindergarten through 6th grade, to Go Dog Go. And I was kind of leery because it's based off Dr. Seuss' book, but the 6th graders they just couldn't rave enough about it, so it was fun. 14th, our leader students went to the senior citizen here. They didn't have lunch with them, but they went during their lunch, and they read them poems, sang songs, and made placemats for them. They enjoyed that. Our reading wig is the 10,000 points, but here's where our numbers sit as far as points. We have an assembly each month, and Fridays are assembly, so I'm going to challenge some of these grades, because at the end of the year, we want 10,000 points, and so far, yeah. So, backside, I forgot my typical spreadsheet that I did, or the fall and our current, but actually, this is also just shows you, and it's current, so fall is orange, and green is where we are standing right now. This is where the kids are proficient. So that 0 means kindergarten, because I didn't know how to manipulate it. So you can see that in the green, that's where we are right now. We're shooting up and surpassing the orange, and that's where we need to be. Is heading on up. As you can tell, kindergarten, they're past their 75 mark, which is awesome. Remember, we went kindergarten 1st, 2nd, and 3rd We really we have those interventions in place. We did start that intervention, hired that other gal to do a couple hours in the afternoon, and she's working with the students that are low on their testing, so. We have about 32 of those students, so. Anyways, trying to make some gains there. I did put together, I was just gonna show you, this is a newsletter I sent out to parents. I just thought, I've been sending information about the habits and our leader and me, but I just wanted to really kind of hone in on just that habit per month. So this first one is habit 1, and that's, you can go ahead and scroll down if you want. I just kind of show you, I sent it to the parents, and it just shows the tree there, where we have it. And then explains what the habit is, and then there's just a short little video, and I'm gonna just have you watch the video. It's about 6 minutes long.
Habits are things we do automatically. Let's look at a common habit. Take your hands and clasp them together. Notice which thumb is on top. Now, unclasp and reclasp your hands with the opposite thumb on top. That probably feels a bit strange. It's different from how you've been used to doing it. Habits can hold us back or move us forward. For the next 7 weeks, we're going to learn about Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. When it comes to effective habits, it's important to look at our paradigms. A paradigm is how you see the world or your point of view. Often our paradigms are inaccurate or incomplete. In reality, we seldom see the whole picture. Most of our problems are due to mixed up paradigms. It's mixed up paradigms that hold us back. avoidance towards the young man. She was probably thinking he was rude, inconsiderate, and audacious. Imagine her feelings after she realized he was willing to share his cookies. Embarrassment for starters, then enlightened as she understood how kind, giving, and patient he was. Each of us sees the world differently. Opening our minds and hearts to new ideas, information, and others' points of view helps us willingly change our paradigm when it becomes clear we are mistaken, and is key to making significant changes in our lives. The 7 habits are based on principle. Having a principle-centered life will never fail us. It creates a firm foundation for all areas of our life and is where the 7 habits get their power from. Habit number 1 of highly effective people is to be proactive. There are 2 types of people in the world: those that cast blame, reactive, and those that take responsibility, proactive. Reactive people make decisions based on impulse. Proactive people make decisions based on values and think before they act, focusing on what they can control, not what they can't. Proactive people realize they can't control everything, but they can control what they do about it. They're like a bottle of water. You can shake them all you want, then open the lid and nothing happens. They're calm and in control. This week, notice what you say to yourself and others. Pause and choose proactive words.
Anyways, little video, and then there's a worksheet that goes along with it, but hopefully. Yeah, something, a little bit more for the parents. That's all I have. Are there any questions?
Thank you, Liz. Principal Superintendent's report.
Okay, for the high school, our students of the month were Ava Wayham and Emily Dodge, and the category of CTE student of the month. Discipline referrals there, 6, 2, and 0. Attendance was at 93.5 for high school and about 94.5 for junior high. At the high school, what we do, just since it came up, we send letters when kids go over 5 and then they lose credit over 9. And then we have an attendance committee that reviews appeals to that committee at the end of each semester. So generally, not generally, all the time, when if a kid goes over that number and loses credit, then there's a document that gets sent home with a letter that parents can fill out, appealing for the credit, explaining what was going on there, and then the attendance committee reviews that. Athletics, our girls junior high basketball team invited up to 6th grade girls to allow for 2 full teams. High school girls basketball, I guess everybody probably knows they won state, so I guess I'm not giving you anything new there. Wrestling districts happened. We have one student that's in a collective with Moscow, and he won his weight class at districts, so he leaves for state tomorrow in Pocatello. Accreditation report, I sent that out. There's a lot to it, but basically if you look through that report, they do an evaluation in different areas, and capacity for the school in different areas, and that review's done every 6 years. Our overall rating, if you got to that page, was a little over 300, which is the highest number we've had since I've been here, so it was good. A lot of it too, though, is also just based on how much work you put into putting that report together and submitting evidence and going through that process, and we put a lot of time into it. So it was nice. We don't necessarily get too high about it or too low about it, but anyway. I handed out the BPA state report that Mrs. Hadley submitted. Those were our students that attended that down at was it the Boise Center, where it was actually. So they had a good time. They were down there for about 2 days and came back. We have a few kids attending nationals. Some of the kids. So, and let's see, I didn't include it, but driver's ed is starting soon. I don't think we have quite as many kids this year as what we've had the last couple of years. Our freshman class is a little bit smaller, but that's beginning soon. For the district, we had our annual facilities inspection. On the following pages are the reports for the bus garage, JES, and KHS. So we have a new facilities inspector. He made a few recommendations. It was nice to have a new person because they kind of look at different things actually and gave us some things that we never heard before. So it was nice. Justin, I think, actually submitted the plan to address those things today. So they're not required, but I think some of those things will do. Yeah. So we thought there were some good ideas in there. Down the Hill, Dory and I attended Down the Hill. We got back last night from that. That was a combination of workshops, just about various things related to the legislature. We also sat in a couple of committee meetings, talked with legislators. It was good. The two bills that I think we probably talked the most about or were discussed the most was the tax credit bill, which would basically give tax rebates to families that could apply that to private school or homeschool. And then House Bill 521, which is the facilities bill we talked about earlier. So those are a couple that we're keeping an eye on. I also, I think I included it in here. There's a letter from the State Department that I included in here just regarding 5-day and 4-day school weeks, and kind of where the State Department stands on it. There's not really a lot of information in there. They basically just say, give it a lot of thought, do your homework, make it about the kids. That kind of stemmed around some of the stuff that's been happening in Jerome. They've kind of been going back and forth on a 5-day versus 4-day school week, and it got a little bit tense there for a while, so they issued this to the entire state. And let's see, our new bus is scheduled to be complete at the factory in June, so delivery maybe in late June for that. It's been a while coming, and yeah, it's been a while. Yeah. Enrollment's up by 3. We have one more coming here in a couple weeks, so we'll be at about 151 or so if nothing changes. That's all I have. Any questions for me?
Any questions for Steve? Are there any trustee reports? I'd just like to say that, I read our accreditation report, and I was really impressed. I was really impressed, and we all need to thank Steve and Dory and whoever else worked on that report, because the leadership part of that report was outstanding. So for everybody who did that, great. I mean, it basically said that we have a solid school and good administration. So it was good to hear that. So thank you. Thank you all.
Just for the record, I did not work on that.
Thanks.
Is there any other reports from board members? The only other thing I have to say is that the ISBA started, and I don't know if they're going to continue or not, they had a Zoom meeting for board chairs. And the first meeting basically turned into talking about some of the school districts that were train wrecks, Bonner, West Bonner, and there was some person, and she was from down south somewhere that had a couple board members, and they were just causing trouble, and their meetings were going 4 or 5 hours, and she was wondering what to do. So, but anyway, So that was the first meeting, but hopefully we'll have more meetings. If we have more meetings, maybe we'll have some structure and some other information and things that we'll learn, so we'll just see where it goes, I guess, but anyway, that's happening. Is there any other questions, reports that people want to make? And then I guess we'll go into the action items. The first action item is consider the CompuNet project with additional doors and cameras. So I don't know if Dan wants to talk about that, or...
Yeah, well, that was the one that we had talked about last one, is to add the additional 4 doors and then 1 additional camera too. The doors would be the two kitchens, the outside doors in the kitchens at the elementary and at the high school, and then the 2 doors on the field house. So the concessions booth and then the locker room would also have those as well. We're still in the process of I'm gonna have to make a trip down to Lewiston because Justin has been calling the locksmith to try and get them up here to get those locks replaced on both buildings, the outside doors, and we're getting stonewalled, so I'm gonna have to just go down and sit in the office until they give us a date on when they're gonna come out and get it done, because it just needs to get done. That will allow us to be able to, on those outside doors, especially at the, for the kitchens, is we'll be able to give those cards out to the delivery people. So we know when they're coming and going, and we can turn them off during the summer and whatnot, because right now they all have physical keys to the buildings, so.
So with that, will we have a camera on every door, every exit door?
We have visibility, I'd say, on probably about 95% of the building, on both buildings. So you can see people coming and going out the doors.
Is there any other questions or any discussion?
I'll make a motion to we approve the CompuNet project for additional doors and camera.
I'll second that.
We move and second that we approve the CompuNet project with additional doors and cameras. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. The next item is consider staff training stipends. So Mrs. Blair and Mrs. Anderson have been training the rest of the employees about the restraint and the mandatory seclusion and restraint training. And we'd like to provide with them a stipend for doing that. I saw in the legislative that they were gonna tweak that a little bit, the law, I think. Because people were really afraid to touch a child. Really, there are times when you need to physically escort them somewhere, so we'll see what happens with that. Is there any other discussion on that?
I move that we pay the seclusion and restraining training to the support staff.
I'll second
It's been moved and seconded that we provide the stipend for the training to Mrs. Blair and Mrs. Anderson for $15. $1,500 apiece. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Policy review, policy 9550, cybersecurity data breach response. Who'd like to talk about that?
Mr. Smith.
Okay.
So If you guys remember, this is the policy that the IETA was contacted by the School Boards Association on behalf of one of the insurance providers to come up with a cybersecurity policy. And we put together a group of other tech directors in the state, and then we engaged folks from the Center for Internet Security and CISA, which is the government agency, and then the folks from the Institute for Pervasive Cybersecurity at Boise State. And we got together and spent a couple of months putting together this policy. Pretty much, this is kind of the direction that we've already covered quite a bit of this stuff, but this gives us a framework to operate under, and it also starts putting us forward towards one of the two major standards that are out there for controls. The idea is to get Idaho, all of K-12 education in Idaho, to at least the IG1 standard from the CIS standards. It's a daunting task, and that's basic cyber hygiene. That doesn't even move us into some of the other realms of what we can do. So I can tell you that for the most part, we're covered in the vast majority of this. This is stuff that we already do, but this is stuff that they want in place. The other reason that this precipitated this is without these, a lot of insurers are going to start dropping people, or your coverage is going to be ridiculously expensive at some point. Other states are already having this problem, so we want to get ahead of the curve and have this put down and put together. I don't know if anybody wants me to read through it or answer any questions about any of the stuff that's in it. It's a pretty stale read and it's a very technical document, so.
Can you talk, Dan, about the option, like the select one section there where we have to make a couple choices?
Yeah, so basically on that one, it's just these are controls that are in place. It's like a big checklist to figure out what your cybersecurity posture is and how you're going to operate everything. We use the CIS controls from the Center for Internet Security. So that's the one that we use, that we'll end up using for ours.
On the third page, that first optional piece is easy. The second one, though, the optional, it says treat each incident as a data breach or immediately remedy the issue. What is that?
So this one also falls into the category of engaging your insurance provider. So on this one you have to determine, are you going to err on the side of caution, or are you going to figure that it's already been taken care of? So what they're saying is that if you're not exactly sure if anything was actually breached or if any data was leaked, then you have the option to treat the incident as a data breach and then start the protocols, or you can immediately remedy the issue and then try and write it out that way. So, problem is later on, if you, like, let's say that you remedied the issue, you see where the problem was, you fix it, and then you figure that you're good. If we find out later on that the actors are still in the network or they're doing whatever that they're doing, we're on the hook for all of that. And so makes it, this one, it gave the ability for districts to see if they wanted to fix it in-house or if they wanted to actually engage data breach protocols. Personally, I would engage data breach protocols because you don't know.
So then if there isn't any evidence, what about if there isn't evidence of a breach, but you identify basically a lapse in security where they're a soft spot or whatever?
Right.
Is that something where you address it and remedy it? Or do you
Yes.
assume that there's a breach?
It's different. So usually a breach is when you notice that, like, you come in and suddenly you can't log into anything that day. That's definitely a breach. If we are going along, we figure out that somebody's account hasn't been disabled in X amount of time, but we check the logs and there's been no activity on it, we disable the account, then obviously you're good. There's been no evidence of a breach.
So remedy it. Okay.
We had a district very close to us that they had an incident in the fall that took them out for about a week. And they caught it early too, but
Thanks, Dan.
yeah.
So how often do you think you'll have to refer to this?
This is the official one for us. I have my own that, you know, the book, the binder that sits on the shelf that should we have it, this is the one you grab and you go. This one is our official policy. This is the one that we go with the lawyers with.
But my question is how often, is this like, we have a fire, break the glass, or is this is what this is for? Okay.
The thing about this though is that we're basically saying that we're gonna start down the path on putting enough money and resources into getting us into these cybersecurity standards. That's what the big thing about this has been.
Okay.
So there will be resources that will be needed later on to be able to do this. And it's definitely, it's a daunting task for me, but I can't imagine if I was a part-time tech director and then my other half of my day is I was teaching PE somewhere. That's what Will Goodman, who's the CIO for Boise School District, that's what he was doing in Bruno Grandview, was he was the tech director and he was a PE teacher. So I can't imagine him trying to get all that kind of stuff done. But for lawyers and for our insurance company, this dots the i's and crosses the t's. It says that we are committed to this plan.
Any other questions about the policy? So that was the first reading. I guess it'll come back next month. Is there any board member input for future agenda items? Not, is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second it.
Been moved and seconded to adjourn. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carries. We're adjourned.